After years of disinterest, I find myself actually enjoying playing Overwatch again. But is this the return of greatness, or will this fresh coat of paint quickly fade? Alright, let's just look over the changes here. A few new heroes. Yep, one's already overpowered. That's pretty standard. The game is now a 5 versus 5, meaning only one tank per game. I'm sure the tank mains are gonna love these new queue times. Let's see. Oh, hey, they got rid of crowd control. So Mei is less of a sociopath. Thank God. Now McCree has no flashbang, and... Wait, what happened with McCree? Oh, that's what happened. Honestly, the only thing that surprises me in that situation is that they were dumb enough to actually name a character after one of their developers. This is Blizzard, after all. But the big change everyone's talking about is the shift to the free-to-play model, which is a very good idea because free-to-play is just the best method for live service games. And yes, I am looking at you pay-to-play game developers. No amount of catgirls is ever going to make me pretend that Final Fantasy XIV actually exists. But the problem that Blizzard has is that they have the very unique skill set and where they can take the most effective and well-liked video game monetization methods and still distort it enough that everyone hates it so much that players now miss the loot box system because it undeniably provided more value than what we are getting now. The biggest issue is how you really can't get anything in terms of cosmetics if you are not willing to pay. Now, usually in games like these, like Apex Legends or Fortnite, you can save up enough in-game currency for a decently reasonable amount of time and be able to get one or two skins that you really like. But in Overwatch 2, you can only attain a maximum of 60 credits per week. And that's if you go all out and pretty much put an entire week's worth of effort and time into this game, and only this game. That's because for some reason, even though there are daily, weekly, seasonally, and even lifetime challenges to complete, only the weekly challenges have rewards that actually translate into in-game currency. The rest goes into only Battle Pass XP for the Battle Pass you may not even buy. So if you don't want to spend your entire week, or heaven forbid, can only play on the weekend, it's entirely possible that you will never see a single credit or be able to earn a single cosmetic of any price, ever. But let's say you actually do spend a ton of time on this game. As it stands, if you wanted, say, one of those juicy legendary cosmetics that costs 1900 credits, it would take you an entire 31 weeks of non-stop Overwatch, an entire 8 months to obtain a single legendary skin on a single character for a game with 35 characters. This is why people are actually missing the loot box system. Before, they had the same complaint with the loot box system, but you could get random skins as you're trying to get the skin that you actually want. So overall, the loot box system was better because even though you weren't necessarily getting your favorite skin, you weren't just walking away empty-handed like you would now. This is an issue because that's a really significant drop from what was available during Overwatch 1, and it affects those Overwatch 1 players who bought the full price game that evolved into this. But the situation is even more bleak for first time players, and there should be an entire generation of gamers that grew up with Fortnite that likely will be first time players of Overwatch. Now, up to this point, none of the issues I've talked about have directly affected gameplay, the most important part of the game. But if you're new to Overwatch or just never bothered to make a Blizzard account during Overwatch 1, you don't start out with the majority of the roster. You start out with just 15 characters, in fact. Out of the 35, you get 15. Now, some of these actually do make some sense. Like Wrecking Ball, you can't play until you've played 130 games, which is a lot. But Wrecking Ball is also a very high octane character that's hard to use and hard for the newest of players to actually deal with. But not being able to unlock Baptiste until 100 games, it's really lame. Because a character like Baptiste is a really fun and simple hero that really I feel like, even though it wasn't added until late Overwatch 1, it should probably be one of the earlier characters that you unlock. To make matters worse, they have added a character to the Battle Pass, meaning you have to progress or buy the Battle Pass in order to unlock this character. And that makes one wonder, if I am not a constant player of this game, am I just going to miss out on some characters permanently? Overwatch 2 is back, but mark my words, at the rate they are not going to last a single full year without them dropping down to the low interest it had just 2 months ago. I'll give this one an 8 out of 10 purely because I never reviewed Overwatch 1, and since I'm never going to be able to do that, I'm just going to average out what I would rate both games, and honestly, I played a lot of Overwatch. If you reach the end of this rant, go ahead and leave a comment. Do you think Overwatch 2 will be relevant a year or so from now? Or do you think it's going to fall back to what it was? Thank you all, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.